Bam, dude, we're live.
There we go. I like that we don't do a timer or a countdown and just it's raw. It's unedited.
Nah, yeah, we hit the button and we say what's up. That's basically what it is. I don't like the timers and everything like that. Like, I mean, it's fine if you do it, but like, I guess I don't know. I don't like it. Yeah, because we're sitting here for 30 seconds.
Yeah, imagine clicking a video like when this stream ends and it gives you a 30-second timer for it to start because that shit all comes with it. It's
3.
It's brutal. You can't do it. No, not gonna happen.
Well, welcome in everybody. We are doing. I mean, you and I have done streams before, but this is like our first kind of like AMA style. Like we really don't have an agenda or anything. Like typically when we've done this, it's been like a mock draft for like startup drafts or rookie mocks, which we've got a rookie mock stream coming up next week. But we've never done just a straight AMA. So that's what we're doing tonight. If you guys have any questions that you want to throw at us, I believe we've made this subscriber only. So I think you can watch it, but you can't comment. Is that right? So
look, if I don't know how it works, I am pretty confident you need to be subscribed to comment. That is my understanding.
Cool.
It doesn't go any deeper than that.
Well, I hope that's the case, because then if you're watching and you can't comment and you're like, why can't I comment? Just check to see if you're subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. And
I'll look at settings. I don't know. I can't tell you, man. I don't know what's going on. I'm winging it.
So AMA style. I see we have already a few people coming in. I don't even know if this was a good time for us to stream or not. We just said it was a good time for both of us. And that's where we're at. So, Rob Z saying Thirsty Thursday for some fantastic fantasy chat. That's what's up.
So comments do work. That's good. Questions, put them in the chat. That's what we're doing here.
Yep. Love it. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions, anything about rookies, trades, startups that you may or may not have going on. I know I got an auction question on Twitter earlier today. Which was pretty interesting. Do you have familiarity with the auction startups?
Auction startups. So I've done one. We did not finish. We did a slow. We did a slow draft auction. It went on for about 3 months, and then we all gave up. We made it through like 7 rounds. It was horrible.
Was it one of those stupid ones where it's like 24 hours for players, and then there's
no? It was 8. It was an 8-hour clock, but we were all bored. This wasn't even like this is post-COVID. So like it wasn't even a COVID thing. We just got bored last summer and then never completed it by like August. We just gave up. So that's my extent of auction drafts.
Auction experience. I love it. P to the R commenting the goat emoji. What's up, bro? Oh man, I feel so bad. Is this Don Queese? I hope it's Don Queese. Don Keese? I feel so bad. I'm going to call you Don.
Call him like that.
What's going on, fellas? What running back should I target if I'm trying to move Tony Pollard? I think it's a good question. Do you have any thoughts?
Tony Pollard's interesting to me because when you look around different dynasty sites, different sets of rankings, I've seen him top 10. I have seen him outside of the top 15. He has a wide range of outcomes because he's coming off of a broken leg. If I remember correctly, there's the Bijan news that is probably keeping his trade value down currently. So it's chaotic. What I would probably look to trade him for, like a J.K. Dobbins. I don't know if Dobbins would be valued ahead of him, behind him, like a Dobbins plus.
I think you get Dobbins plus.
I'd be excited about that. I just put out a tweet today. He was it third in rushing yards over expected on the season. And if you just take his 4-game sample of post-second surgery games, he led the entire NFL in rushing yards over expected. So he is healthy. He is ready to go. And that was with Tyler Huntley. So I'm very pro Dobbins right now. I'm going to push that agenda.
Oh, I've been pro Dobbins too this entire offseason. But I've also, coincidentally enough, well, maybe not in the entire offseason, but very recently, I've been pro Tony Pollard. So I've been thinking about maybe doing a video on why you should be buying Tony Pollard, just specifically about him real quick. I kind of want to wait till the draft though, because this recent Bijan news of like they're potentially going to trade up with Pittsburgh or whatever and go get beat. I'm like, geez, oh man, that would ruin everything with Tony Pollard. But if I'm looking to trade him away and I want another running back, I like going down to Dobbins, but I think with Pollard, if you're able to move up, like add a second round pick to him and move up to maybe a Nick Chubb, maybe an Austin Eckler, somebody who is going to give you elite production this year. And you only really have to add just that second round pick to get a little bit more, I don't want to say safety necessarily, but kind of safety of a player that you know, the production historically, not just one season. You know, if it's Eckler specifically or Chubb, maybe it's Josh Jacobs, you know, that there's a little bit bigger body of work of sustained production than Tony Pollard. So I guess in a way is safety. But that's the direction I would go.
I don't disagree with you.
Cool. He said it was Don Queese. I was right the first time.
Nailed it. Nice. Well done.
And S says 10-team, one quarterback, traded 106 Hopkins Komet. That looks like an Egyptian spelling of Komet for Devontae 208 and a 24 second. How'd I do? Good, bad? I don't know.
So 106 in a 1 QB. So you're looking like the 110. You're looking a Josh Downs, maybe Michael Mayer if you're in on tight end early, Sean Tucker, like that kind of range of player. Maybe even Quentin Johnston. If you watch our video coming out Sunday, it's Quentin Johnston probably. I probably prefer that in Hopkins. Like the Komet 2024 second 208, I'm not really thinking about all that much here. I'm kind of viewing it as Hopkins in 106 for Devontae Adams. I prefer Hopkins in the 106, I think. I think it gives you enough flexibility. And Jimmy G, he's going to be an interesting one with Devontae Adams. Jimmy G can support like very fantasy relevant players. However, how Devontae Adams has won in recent years, right? A massive ADOT, a ton of air yards, all of these things, is the polar opposite of what Jimmy G does. And basically you're relying on Josh McDaniels to formulate an offense, a competent offense around Jimmy G and Devontae Adams. And I don't know if he can do that. Like well enough to be like Devontae Adams is still top 5. That's my only hang up.
On the opposite side of that, I think Devontae Adams is still going to be great because he's the alpha. He's going to get 160, 170 targets. I don't think it necessarily matters. I mean, he might not have the ceiling that he's had the past few years where he's like 110 for 1,412. But I think he could still have over 100 receptions easily in this offense without Darren Waller. The only real competition he has there is, at least right now, is Jacoby Myers and Hunter Renfrow. Like, I think 100 receptions is pretty easy. If he's getting 10 yards per reception, 10 and a half, you know, he's still over 1,000 yards. I'm sure he's still going to catch 7, 8, 9 touchdowns. I still think that that's going to be good. I think my hang up is more on the DeAndre Hopkins side because while his production last year with Kyler was kind of comparable to Devontae Adams, A, if he stays in Arizona, he's not going to have Kyler.
Right.
B, if he's get traded, where does he get traded to? Like if he goes to Buffalo, that might be a good situation. But if he goes basically anywhere else as a wide receiver 2, more or less, like that might not necessarily be the best thing. And the 106 and one quarterback, like I don't necessarily love. Like that's kind of a middle of a tier of a bunch of just players that I'm not really all that in love with, unless it happens to like Charbonnet falls to 106 or something stupid like that.
Not out of the question. It's not likely.
Yeah, but it could happen. But
my thing is, I don't know if the gap between Adams and Hopkins is gonna be like groundbreaking. I think Adams comes down just a little bit, and Hopkins maybe again drops a tiny bit as well. They could both be, you know, like wide receiver 8 and wide receiver 15. And I don't think that's a massive game changer for me, at least, especially when I'm looking at the 106 there as another hopefully long-term high quality asset.
Yeah.
That's why it's a good trade. I honestly think it's a good trade. I don't have an issue either way.
Yeah, that was basically my summary. Like, I think it's a good trade. Both sides are probably happy with this. So that's the best trade that you can do in Dynasty. I don't think there's necessarily one right or wrong answer here. Probably happy on both sides.
Yep.
I'm going to skip down here. I see Jacob's in the chat. Jacob is that little weird emote or emoji next to his name. I think you guys can see it in the comments. We can't see it on StreamYard. StreamYard's stupid. But
you can see it. I'm looking at it.
Jacob is a YouTube member of this channel. So Jacob, thank you for support. What should we expect from Christian Watson this year? Will he ever be wide receiver 1 material? Asking two of the people.
So he could be wide receiver 1 material. I'm not going to rule out and be like, there's no shot he's ever top 12, right? Because it's a game of probability. He absolutely could. I'd probably put it like a 25, 30% chance he gets there. This year, best case scenario feels like top 20 because you have Jordan Love who's going to have growing pains at his first time as an actual NFL starter. He might have competition in like JSN or Jordan Addison. You could bring in quality target competition. And again, it's just not going to be an Aaron Rodgers-led offense, so you're going to see a downtick. They probably go even more run heavy than they have in previous years. So Christian Watson, best case, feels like a top 20 guy. And if Jordan Love is that dude, maybe he can push higher. But I'm not 100% sure that he is.
Yeah, that's basically the same way I see it. Like I see the upside 100%, and the big playability, all that kind of stuff, especially if he is the leader in targets for Green Bay next year. But do you want the leader in targets for Jordan Love? And that's kind of the question. Like I see Christian Watson kind of as like as a Kenny Golladay kind of type player where he's going to have maybe high 60s, low to mid 70s of receptions. You're hoping that because of his play style and his athleticism, that leads to 14, 15 yards per reception, catches a decent number of touchdowns as well. That's his formula for becoming a wide receiver 1. I don't think Jordan Love is going to be the guy to get him to that point. And I'm not necessarily fading Christian Watson. I do just think that his price is a little bit higher than where it should be. In April ADP, he was wide receiver 22. He's a couple wide receiver spots behind Michael Pittman, who we both love. He's ahead of Chris Godwin. Like that, like both of those players, I'm very willing to move off of and pivot to. So
if I could flip Watson for Pittman, like a second, again, that gap may be too small to actually do anything there. I would love that.
Yeah, or go down and you can go get Chris Godwin.
I love that too. Dude, I love Chris Godwin.
Jerry Jeudy's behind him as well. Hollywood. Oh man. Yeah. There's just a ton of options at wide receiver that I just prefer more in that range.
It feels safer. We know what they are, which sometimes getting rid of upside and mystery is a good thing.
Right. I missed here. Thank you for showing me, Justin. Czop, also a YouTube member. Thank you. I'm sorry I skipped over you. I went straight down to Jacob. You guys gave me trade advice for a full rebuild team, but no teams are making any trades since fantasy playoffs ended. How do I move forward? He is, rebuilding in a, I don't want to say league. Dead, but
in a dead league,
but less than ideally active league.
Yeah.
How do you approach that?
You have to wait it out. I have leagues like this. I quite literally had a league where I fully tanked out of the startup. I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's go full productive struggle. Got the 101, had a trash team, needed to make moves. I did not make my first trade until August of 2022. Like nobody moved. You just have to kind of wait it out. People will come back. And the potential values you can get from the NFL draft, free agency, those types of things will be gone because it'll be full swing for fantasy. But it's waiting. I'd rather wait than push or force a trade where if one person responds and offers you crap, but you're just trying to make a move, I'd like to avoid that. So you're going to have to wait it out. I don't think there's really much else you can do other than offering crazy lopsided trades that screw you over probably.
Yeah, I think waiting it out is the best way to go. And to be honest, it's not like the worst thing in the world just to kind of wait it out because if they're all taking a break, if they see this more as like a redraft league where you just happen to keep your players every single year, then by you being more active now and through the summer, you will already have a massive advantage over all those other league mates. So whenever it comes time that they're all starting to come back in July and August and September, you're able to make moves then at that point. Player values have changed. Like if we tell you to buy or sell a guy right now, you have him on the roster, you want to buy that player.
Yeah.
You might have missed out on that player if they really rose or dropped, between now and then. But there's still going to be other opportunities to buy and sell players at the point that all of those guys come back. So you're still able to make those moves. Plus, like I said, you already have an advantage by knowing what's going on in the NFL right now, knowing how player values are trending in what direction, all that kind of stuff, that you can still make good moves later on. It does just kind of suck because it feels like your rebuild might last an extra year or two just because trades aren't really happening.
Yeah, it's not always. I won my league after I went literally worst to first because it's exactly what you said. Like, people weren't paying attention. So I was able to scoop up guys that had weird narratives and all this other stuff because I paid attention. I was doing this, but I paid attention throughout the entire offseason. So that definitely does help.
He says it's okay. It feels dead. But maybe that's just a sign to say, hey, I want to go join another Dynasty league, the one that is active between now and then,
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that you look to do as well, because it is always more fun whenever you're in an active league with a bunch of players that know what the heck they're doing and stuff. So that is more fun.
Oh yeah.
Rob Z, looks like Bryce is going to be the first pick, and then Richardson and Levis might fall to the teens or later. Nah, Levis is going to the Colts.
That's such a Colts pick. It's such a Colts pick. I know you do, and no, he's so weird. I can't.
He's so weird.
He's just a weird dude, man. Like, that's not analysis. It's just a fact. Like, he's a weirdo. So I'm not a Will Levis guy.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he falls. I really wouldn't be surprised if Richardson falls either. It's definitely going to be something to monitor for those guys, because if they do fall into the teens or later, like historically the hit rates on those players, which was actually part of the member video that I put out yesterday, was the cutoff for quarterbacks really for a success rate in the first round is really pick 12. So it is kind of, of note to if those players, if Richardson or Levis or another quarterback falls into the teens or the back half of the first two. So something to keep watching.
If you guys heard him mention member video and are thinking, what the hell is Addison talking about? Check out the DLF YouTube membership. If you're on Android, you can join from the YouTube app. If you're on iOS or you have an iPhone, you can join from web. So check that out, guys. We have a ton of extra videos that are only available to our DLF members. You get your cool little badge as well in the chat, on live streams, on comments, all that kind of stuff. So check that out, guys. Just a couple bucks a month. And it helps support me and Addison while we do this basically year round at this point. So check it out.
Scove says 12-team Superflex PPR, 2 tight end. Is that start 2 tight end or 2 tight end premium? I'm assuming start 2 tight end. Premium on the tight ends. Start 13. I have the 109. Team is middling. Was carried to the playoffs by Hurts and Fields. Is there a question? Hold on. Am I missing a question?
Nice.
Yeah.
Next question.
Well, I was trying to see if he was still in here and commenting.
Elite QB will carry you. It will cover up so many issues. It's the reason I don't want guys like Kenny Pickett or Geno Smith or a lot of other guys like that aren't Mac typically going to give you elite QB production, because you have to have a significantly better team to actually make noise then. And it's possible, but I'd rather just try to find 2 elite quarterbacks and have them cover up all of my mistakes.
Right. They don't got to think about it either. And if they're young enough, like that Hurts and Fields, maybe not Fields so much, just kind of a little bit more unknown, but like Burrow, Herbert, you're going to have these guys for like 10 years. They might survive like your league. Your league might fold before they retire. So
definitely, most of your leagues will fold before they retire. That's almost a guarantee.
Yeah. So it's just, you're done. You're good. That's it.
Yeah.
Jacob says he traded away Allen, Cooper, Henry in the 207 for Herbert, Amon-Ra, the 108 and 111. This is in a Superflex league as well, 12-team Superflex.
All right, so Josh Allen, Amari Cooper. I'm going to assume that's Derrick Henry, not Hunter. Is it Hunter Henry?
It can't be Hunter Henry.
There's no way, right? Okay, I'm going to assume it's Derrick Henry, the 207. So you downgrade at quarterback, you upgrade at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get 108, 111. It's super flex.
Yep.
So 108 is a lot more interesting. 111 is basically, was it the 106 from the trade we talked about earlier? I think I'm on the Herbert in the pick side.
Herbert.
Getting rid of Derrick Henry basically for 2 firsts. Because Herbert, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Allen Cooper. That's a package. And then in my mind, it's Henry for 108 and 111. Love that.
Yeah, this trade is amazing.
Great. That's a great deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good job, Jacob. Joseph, how bad would Pollard's value take a hit if Bijan did land in Dallas? Have Bijan 101 in 10-team Superflex start 10? So how bad would Pollard's value take a hit?
It'd be crippling. I mean, he's still going to be very good, but you have to wait another year for him to hit free agency and hopefully find a workhorse role. Like it's not going to be the same split as if they had Pollard and Zeke last year, right? Where Pollard started to take more and more of that work. It's probably going to go to like a 50-50 split, maybe. What was their split last season, Addison? I don't even have that top of mind.
Well, I was going to say this. So Pollard did what he did last year with Zeke taking basically 250 touches. It was like 230 rush attempts and another like 19 receptions. Obviously, Pollard made his heyday on a decent number of receptions. I think he had 50 or 60. I think he scored 12 total touchdowns.
Right. Bijan is different than Zeke there.
Right. For sure. Like Pollard could end drives, but Bijan will end drives, just because he can.
Right. Like
he can score from the 50.
It's going to. Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. Like Tony Pollard survived on a insane breakaway rate. Like those long runs are very difficult to repeat year in and year out. Right? He's 4th in breakaway run rate last season at 8.8%. Basically, almost 1 of every 10 touches was like a 20-yard carry or a 20-yard touch. So it would be, he'd still be an RB2, right? He's still top 20.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
It's tough. I don't know. It's really difficult to assess like worst case scenario for him.
Because I still think he would be a 200 touch guy. I don't think Bijan would take that much out of Tony Pollard, especially since they tagged Pollard. It's kind of, it might be one of those things where, you kind of let the rookie get used to what's going on, and Pollard's still there taking a good amount of the workload. They can kind of wear him down if they're not going to re-sign him because they drafted Bijan. Like guys like Cam Akers, Alvin Kamara, they're in the back, like they're RB 27, 28. So I think Pollard would still be a top 30 guy just based on where those two are. Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, those guys are borderline top 25. David Montgomery's in there. I feel like I'd still take Pollard over all those guys.
David Montgomery, ew, that's disgusting.
James Cook is RB 30. So.
I still want him over Cook. I want him over Montgomery. I probably want him over Mixon and Dalvin still too.
So
Kamara, a lot of those guys, yeah, because he's talented. It's not like his talent disappears. Mm-hmm. The efficiency is going to drop a little bit. I mean, it's bound to. Was too efficient this season, basically, for that to be repeatable. But he'd be fine. You won't get top 10 Tony Pollard. I can tell you that much. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Still a top 24 running back for Dynasty.
Yep.
I see Aaron down here. Aaron, member. Love it. He's asking in a half PPR, 10-team Superflex start 9, half tight end premium as well. Rebuilding. That's his team with quarterbacks. Watson, Carr, Jimmy G, Love, ETN, Wilson, Mitchell. Wilson at wide receiver, Deontay Hollywood, Ingram. So here's the second part. In a shallow league, better to move picks for better picks or mortgage the farm for positionally advantaged players. Top 7 quarterback, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, etc.
Positional advantage. You eliminate so much risk. I get the idea of wanting a ton of picks. It's very fun. It is way more fun to have 1,000 picks. But it's also, come September, a lot more safe to have players we know are going to ball out, like barring injury. So I'm always a give me the studs type of guys, and then I'll figure out the rest.
I'm looking at his roster right now, and so you're drafting a quarterback at 103. You're getting JSN or Gibbs at 106. Yep. Yep.
Trade the 103 for Kirk Cousins plus.
Yeah, in a shallow and like you said here, it's a shallow league. You're only starting 9. I want the positional advantage players.
Yeah.
I think that's another key as well too. Like starting 9 in a 12 team super flex, like that's a pretty shallow amount of players that you're playing, and you already have it covered. Like you have Watson and Carr, and then you got Garrett Wilson and Hollywood and Deontay, ETN as well too. I just want to fill out the rest of my starting lineup in a start 9 by either selling those picks off or, using those picks for good. Like, I don't think this is an either or. Like, if you move 106 and 109, you get like 101. Obviously, then that's a something that you should do because Bijan is a positional advantage. I think JSN will grow to be somewhat of a positional advantage as an elite, like potentially top 5 wide receiver. He could get there. Like that's not, I don't see this as really an either or. It's just putting good players on your roster in whatever way that you need to do that.
Yeah. Proven players are safer than draft picks. Not value wise, but you know what you're getting. Where we think rookies are all going to be great. Like they're, you have those high draft picks. How could they possibly bust? We see guys bust in and out every single year. So keep that in mind.
CZOP again, general question for everyone. On your website, you support other podcasts and websites. Are any of them, such as Crossroads or Trade Addicts, a part of the DLF team? So we have, I believe both of those podcasts are part of the DLF family of podcasts. Like they post like under the flagship. Yep. So if they say that they're part of like the DLF family of podcasts, then they are a part of the DLF team. All of those guys are in our Slack. Some of them are even writers like Russ for the Trade Addicts, obviously is on Trade Addicts. He's on the trade show with me. He writes the Trading Post articles. John Hogue with like the Superflex podcast and stuff like that. Like they're writers. Some of them are rankers. They're all under the DLF umbrella. So hopefully that answered the question.
Sounds like it did.
Let me scroll back up.
I know we're working through stuff still.
I'm torn between drafting the wide receiver 3 or RB3 versus trading for a vet. So this is part 2. I didn't see this. So this was team is middling, was carried to the playoffs by Hurts and Fields. This is part 2. I'm torn between drafting a wide receiver 3 or RB3 versus trading for a veteran like DeAndre Swift or somebody else with that 1.09 that he got as part of a middling team.
So if the RB3 is there, which would be Zach Charbonnet, I would take Charbonnet over the wide receiver 3, over the wide receiver 2, over DeAndre Swift. Anybody in that tier, I'd rather have Charbonnet. Pre-draft, post-draft, doesn't matter. I would like him.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. If you're trading out Swift wouldn't be my target for me when you're trading out.
No, I like him, but it's gross now. Let
me find who I want at one with 109 instead. Well, if you're looking for wide receivers at the 1.09, I mean, you're in the range of guys like Jameson Williams, Jerry Jeudy, maybe. If you're looking for wide receivers in that or running backs in that range, you're in the range of, Derrick Henry's in there, Aaron Jones, a bunch of veterans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like old veterans.
I would love a Jerry Jeudy for that price.
Hollywood's in that range.
Would love that too.
Tony Pollard's in that range.
So I need to see if Charbonnet is gone. I want Charbonnet over all of them, but if Charbonnet is gone, then yes, I'll do it for Dobbins there.
Probably something that you need to see who's on the clock.
Yeah,
like when you're on, like who's on the board when you're on the clock. And if you want to now, maybe you can try and move that 109, move up to 106, 107. Guarantees you one of those top rookies. It guarantees you Gibbs or Charbonnet at 1.07 or whoever the next best player is after that.
Yeah.
So I like that. So many comments. I just have to scroll through everything. Cody, fade Najee or does he rebound and crack the top 10 this year?
He's tough to he's tough to figure out because the end of year efficiency, when you start to really dig in, he looks much better at the end of the season than he did to start. I don't know if he gets back to top 10 just based on the workload he was earning even at the end of the season. The whole reason he was, top 5, top 10 was just on the back of insane volume. Jaylen Warren was taking a decent amount of work by the end of the season. So Jaylen Warren, fully healthy, I think could do enough to keep Najee outside of the top 10 potentially. But he's right on that line. I don't know if he's a hard fade, at least after really digging in this season.
Yeah, I've been slowly buying back into Najee from where I was last year. I mean, he's RB12 in April ADP. And yeah, like you said, at the end of the year last year, it really kind of started in week 11. He had an RB3 week with 2 touchdowns. And then from that week on, he scored 5 touchdowns, including 4 rushing and 1 receiving. He had one game where he had 9 targets. Every single game, basically after that, he was seeing solid, consistent volume, 80 plus rushing yards in the large majority of those games from week 11 on. And he was hurt to start the year last year. He had that foot problem, which I think could lead to a lot of the inefficiencies that we saw with him at the beginning of the year. And that Steelers offense just, it was Mitch Trubisky at the beginning, then they transitioned to Kenny Pickett and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully as the offense kind of gets better, hopefully as a Steelers fan, I don't think Pickett's the answer, but I got to hope and pray because I know that we're going to be loyal to him. Hopefully Najee.
He's not, man.
He's not. But hopefully Najee is a beneficiary of that offense getting better. Yes. And I do think that he's on the line of top 10, like you said, because he's going to be more dependent on the volume that he gets. But a lot of that guys in that range are kind of as well too. If Josh Jacobs comes back down to earth, he's in that range potentially if he's not scoring, 20 touchdowns. Nick Chubb is in that range because he doesn't catch passes. You have Derrick Henry maybe on a lesser workload. You have J.K. Dobbins, like we said. There's a ton of guys in that range that could or could not be top 10. So not necessarily a fade. I agree with you on that one.
So he's just kind of that weird middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, from earlier.
Yep. And says, appreciate it. We got you. Joseph, what's Damian Pierce's outlook with Singletary now? Will he hit RB1 numbers? Oh, this feels like the Christian Watson question.
It feels low. It's a loaded question. It's coming for us. No, he's not. I'd be very, very shocked if he hit RB1 numbers. He didn't do it this year with basically the entire backfield to himself.
The most ideal opportunity and situation.
Right. Absolute best case. And then if you factor in, say they don't take a quarterback this year, that offense is going to be abysmal. And I don't really want the running back that is leading up what could be the worst offense in the NFL. So, no, I don't think he's coming close to RB1 numbers.
Pierce is a massive sell right now for me, as are a lot of the day 3 guys. And I mean, I feel like you and I have harped on this all offseason. Pierce, Pacheco, Tyler Algier, some of these other guys that are at risk of being not necessarily, well, some of them at risk of being fully replaced. Pierce, I don't think gets fully replaced, not this year at least. I think that more competition will come in other than Devin Singletary. That it's just going to cut into his workload because he is entirely volume dependent. If he is not scoring a touchdown or seeing 20 plus carries in a game, he's probably not going to have a good he's going to have 6 or 7 fantasy points for you that week. And that's those having more weeks of that than top 12 weeks or top 15 weeks isn't going to end up being an RB1 for you at the end of the year. So yeah, it's just, if he couldn't do it in 2022, I don't really see how he does it moving forward.
He needs touchdowns, and that offense is not going to be good enough to put him in a position to score enough touchdowns. He's going to have to go double digits most likely, and it just seems unlikely with Devin Singletary, Devin Singletary is probably as good as Damian Pierce. As a true rusher, he's probably as good as him. So it's going to be iffy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Peter, 12 team start, 9 superflex, half tight end premium, trade Pickens 304 and Hal and get Kyle Pitts. Oh man.
I'll let you take this one because this is
Oh,
your nightmare.
man.
This is your nightmare question.
No, this is so easily Kyle Pitts, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh man.
I just thought you would never say Kyle Pitts.
No. Anytime that I can trade away George Pickens, I'm here for it. So,
dude, as a Steelers fan, I feel like you go out of your way to actively hate the Steelers.
I feel like I do too, because I just sometimes, man,
you're overcompensating.
I haven't liked any of their first round picks in like 5 years, dude. So I can't wait for next week. It's just completely. They're gonna do something so stupid.
You're gonna trade with the Bears, dude. You're coming up to 9.
I think we should trade with them and went up to 1, but
give us
whatever.
32 back.
All
go to 9. It'll be great.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't believe that stupid ass Claypool trade still. I'm still so angry about that.
Oh, I love it. We have 2 first round picks this year.
I can't. You'll botch them both. You guys are screwed. You know you're going to screw it up, and I can't wait.
We're going to take a cornerback with the first one. I already know, which is fine.
Joey Porter. Lock it in.
Well, Penn State, that's fine.
I think
he's a little overrated. There's a reason why he's so good at tackling is because offenses would throw at him, but whatever. Moving on.
Man.
Aaron is already looking at 2024 in some aspects. I hear all the hate on tight ends in the first. Where do you take Brock Bowers next year? First.
Yeah, probably in the first. He's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick. I mean, I think that's where he's probably headed. Like if
top
somebody
15, I think at least.
A minimum, yeah. But like, because who have been the last top 10?
Well, Pitts was 4.
Pitts and Hawkinson, right?
Hawkinson went 8, I think.
Yeah, those are the last 2. I think he's better than Hawkinson.
I was going to say, he is a Kyle Pitts level prospect.
Yeah, absolutely he is. We've been waiting for Brock Bowers. The dude's a freak.
Yeah. Like I've said for maybe a few months now that the only real competition for Kyle Pitts for tight end 1 is Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
like
there's nobody else.
If Pitts doesn't produce and Brock Bowers is coming in, we're just going to say, you know what? I'll just hit reset on the same type of player and hope that Brock Bowers lands in a better situation where he can produce. You know?
Absolutely.
Now, I think we were taking Kyle Pitts, like ADP wise, he was in the top 3 range of his class in 1 quarterback leagues. In Superflex, he was in the top 5-ish when you include like after Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and Trey Lance and stuff. Top 5 or 6, that's where he's at. I don't know if we go that same route with Brock Bowers. I feel like there's a little bit of hesitancy there because of Kyle Pitts. And then maybe if it happens again this year, if people are taking, Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, like top 10 or whatever in Superflex, I can see some hesitancy. But
what if Kyle Pitts balls out this year? Which who the hell knows, right? If it happens, people will be back in on Brock Bowers early.
Absolutely.
Like I think that'll erase it. So it's weird that an existing tight end is probably going to dictate some of what happens with Brock Bowers, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, especially in a class where next year, like the next year's wide receiver class is also kind of suspect. Like obviously it's Marvin Harrison, clearing away like Marvin Harrison. But then after that, you kind of have like a handful of guys that don't really like. I feel like Ibuka is probably next. The Marvin Harrison's teammate,
right?
And then there's just a couple guys that we're just not really sure on. The running back class looks solid as probably about 3 or 4 deep in terms of like great to elite prospects. You have 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks if yours works out. But then there's Brock Bowers. Like you just by default from the class, Bowers is probably just already a top 5 or 6 player. So
yeah, I mean the wide receiver class next year. The wide receiver class next year. That's a good point. Like I'm looking at the Devy ranks right now over on DLF, and wide receiver 2 is Emeka, like you said, right? Mm-hmm. He is sitting there 8th overall in Devy ranks. And then the next wide receivers at 11. They're both going to be where Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston are going right now. That's where they're slated to go next year. If you are looking for wide receivers, either give up everything to get Marvin Harrison or trade for veterans because it's not going to get better.
Yep. Bunch of running backs coming to reset the running back talent
I can't wait for Braylon Allen.
Dude.
He's a tank.
And the best part about it is the community just has totally dropped Braylon Allen out of like the elite tier. And he's going to be like RB3 next year. And I'm going to be so here for it, dude.
He's RB3 in the Devy ranks.
Like, yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah.
He's the dude's or RB4, I guess, behind Singleton, who's not coming out next year. But
2025 RB1. Anyway.
God, I can't wait for the running backs.
2024 is going to be fun.
Yeah. Till it's not, just like 2023.
Probably, yeah.
Every damn year.
And ask advice on Mixon and Superflex, like what to do with him or trade ideas. Dude, do you have any advice? Because I've been trying to figure out what the heck to do too. Because I drafted Mixon in a startup. It was like in the 10th round. I was like, I feel like I have to.
I'd rather not. Like, I don't want him. I just don't like. You know what I mean? Like, there's guys you look at and you're like, not even if there's a fire, am I drafting like Joe Mixon? Like, go Step Brothers are like, I'm not doing it. What you have to do with him though is everybody else feels the same way. So you can't just trade him away because you're gonna get borderline nothing for him. If I can flip him for an early second, I'm gonna do it. And the thing is, like, the crazy part is, I'm not sure you can do that. Like, I'm not sure that's possible.
I don't think so.
Also, my laptop's gonna die. I gotta roll to my charger.
Man.
There we go. Just slowly
I'm trying to find where the startup draft was for me, where I took him.
Pass.
Startup. Mixon. Okay, mid-9th. So I took him ahead of Dalvin Cook and Miles Sanders and Damian Pierce. And then I took James Conner in the 10th.
Love Conner. I hope he doesn't get replaced, but I'm starting to creep into my mind that James Conner may potentially get like relevant competition, and I hate that.
I feel like you just have to ride Joe Mixon out. Like,
yeah,
if he gets cut, I think he'll still find a place where he'll have opportunity. Kind of like it might end up being like a Leonard Fournette situation where he gets cut, lands somewhere, decent.
That wants him, yeah.
Shows that he's still talented. Like, Joe Mixon's still talented and can take over the backfield like Leonard Fournette did, because Fournette was still talented when he got cut, just wasn't working out. He needed, both sides needed a change of scenery. So that might end up being what happens with Mixon.
What if Mixon gets cut and lands in Dallas? Wouldn't shock me at all. Give him the Zeke role. He'll fall into 10 touchdowns. It's going to be a high-powered offense, and he'll be on his way. But, if you can trade him for a mid-second, are you doing it? Like, if you can trade him for 202, or sorry, early second. 202, 12-team Superflex.
Yeah, because I feel like that's not a move where I'm like, yeah, I want the rookie, but it's just like, I feel like I could do more with that 2.02 in terms of trading. Like, most everybody's going to want the 2.02. And
right,
that's like 10% of people right now want Joe Mixon. So
I don't even know if you can get. That's a crazy turn of events. Be like, Joe Mixon's not worth an early second, but here we are.
You just got to ride him out. You just got to hope that there's greener pastures ahead. I think. Like,
we sending him to a farm. That's what it sounds like. Like, he's Joe Mixon went to a farm. He's gone. Like, he's not coming back. Kids.
Colby's in the chat. I scrolled down, saw some Colby. Colby also a member as well too. What's up?
You like Colby?
He asks, why does Quentin Johnston earn your pre-draft wide receiver 2 over Addison or Flowers with his stock dropping as of late and potentially out of the first round? Okay, so
I'm ready to listen.
I absolutely hate the fact that I have Quentin Johnston ranked as my wide receiver 2. And like, people are like, well, Addison, these are your rankings. Like, you can change your rankings if you hate them. And I agree. But like, I'm trying to go off of an analytically based system and reading what the analytics are telling me. Quentin Johnston is a solid enough prospect and has less question marks, I think, in terms of his upside and ceiling at the NFL level than other guys like Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers. Now, this is my ranking pre-draft, so it might not stay the same with post-draft. It's kind of like the same thing. Like when I posted my rookie rankings on Twitter, and I had Sean Tucker as my RB3 because he's my RB3 right now. Nick Whalen actually messaged me and was like, "Dude, why do you have Sean Tucker as your RB3? You should be dropping him because he's probably not going to have good draft capital." And I'm like, "Well, I will fix that after the NFL draft when I see the draft capital." So if Quentin Johnston falls and Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers are both first-round picks, that's probably, that's going to be the sign to me that the NFL does believe that both those players are better wide receivers enough that there's basically a whole round difference from first to second round. And I will make that switch. So, but as of right now, I have Quentin Johnston as my wide receiver too. I do not like it, but
you have control over this.
I don't like it
right now.
No,
do it. Fix it now. Yeah, he's my way. I've just accepted analytically. I'm like, I know he should be 2 or 3. He's 5. I can't. I like the film. The crippling floor that I'm looking at with Quentin Johnston is just not a guy that I want to take over some safer players who I think are just more talented. So that's the reason I can't get him there. But he used to be my wide receiver 3 for the same like ceiling argument, because ceilings are limited in this class. I think we're going to look back a year from now and to say, man, it really didn't matter after JSN.
It might not. That's why in my rankings, I literally did the top 7, which went 8. Down to Jalen Hyatt, and I said 8, and I said, who cares? I just don't like. I'm sorry about Xavier Hutchinson. I know you love him. I know a lot of people now recently love like Jonathan Mingo and Jaden Reed and Marvin Mims, and I'm just like, who cares?
Could they be like good NFL wide receiver 2s? For sure. Are they really going to matter in fantasy? Are they going to be anything more than replacement level flex guys? Probably not. And that's what we care about. So, that's what I hate about rookie season, though, is we are obligated to get excited about people that aren't going to be good, and we know it. And it's very frustrating.
Aaron has a great question in here. Where does the crop of 23 tight ends fit in with this 2022 class? So, Brock Bowers is far and away the best tight end in this. Nope.
No.
I went the wrong way. Is so Brock Bowers is still the best tight end in 24, 23, and 22. That's where I was headed. Where does the crop of 23 tight ends fit in with the 22 class? Like overall, right? That's what the question is here.
Maybe.
Is that the question, Aaron?
It's a question for Aaron.
Because I'm assuming, right? Because Trey, if you're just comparing tight ends in this year's class than last year's class, Trey McBride would be what, like the tight end 4, maybe? Like you'd have him behind Washington, but ahead of Musgrave and maybe Laporta. Maybe you have Laporta ahead of McBride.
I think I'd have Laporta ahead of him.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like they'd be that's. It
depends where Laporta gets drafted. If Laporta goes in the 2nd, I'd have Laporta ahead of him. I don't know if you will, though. Like that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And then it's funny because like as prospects, none of the other tight ends last year individually, where would McBride and all fit in?
Like we weren't excited about Chig or Jelani. Jelani was like a fun, interesting dart throw, but like I wasn't pounding the table for him last year by any stretch.
Right. Like last year's tight end class, now it looks good.
Yes.
But we weren't all that excited. Like it was like JT Ruckert and stuff. And
JT Ruckert.
I guess Dolchis is in there. Like Dolchis was another one too. So, but Dolchis is the same thing. Like I had him behind McBride, and we just said that we have McBride in with the same tier as like Laporta.
Right.
So you put Dolchich in there, like him and Musgrave as prospects, I don't think are all that different.
Well, let's switch it up then. What would you do today with what we know about Woods and Okonkwo, Dolchich, McBride, if we were saying as current players, not as prospects, like what we've seen to date?
I want Mayer, Kincaid, and Washington still. That's my still top 3. After knowing everything.
I think I'd put Dolchich over Washington. Washington has enough question marks around his production that I'd be fine
Okay.
putting Dulcich ahead of him.
Okay. And then I'd have McBride ahead of Laporta still. And I'd have
for me, but I get it.
See, I think I would have Chig over. See, that's like I see the upside with Chig, but I also see like he could just not really be anything, and we're just kind of making it up.
could be flash in the pan efficiency like we do every single season.
Right. And then you get
Delaney Woods. I'd have over Laporta. I'm intrigued there. That the size, the speed. He could be. That's exactly what Darnell Washington could be in a year. Could be viewing them the exact same way.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And then like Isaiah Likely's behind all of them too, just because he's a backup. Like I wish he wasn't, but
I know he's a wide receiver. He's not even a tight end. He's a wide receiver.
They really should both be out there like all the time.
Right. It's crazy. The amount of arguments I had with people last year when Mark Andrews went down, if it was going to be Likely or Josh Oliver catching passes, I was like, what are we doing here, guys? It's not Josh Oliver. I promise you.
All right. Yeah, let's rapid fire because you got to go.
Okay, right? we got to cut it at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern.
All right, rapid fire. Seth, how far do any of the top 3 quarterbacks have to fall in the NFL draft to value JSN or Gibbs above them in a Superflex rookie draft?
Outside of the top 20.
My cutoff was 15.
I'd say 20 for me.
Okay.
There we go. Nice.
Yeah. All right, I'm in. Joseph asks, general question, if we're subscribed on the website, do we get the YouTube subscription or are they separate? So as of right now, they are separate. We are kind of viewing the YouTube channel and the written content as separate entities. We're trying to figure out some sort of like integration. The YouTube integration is like really weird.
It's
some of the stuff of trying to figure out a way to include both of them so that if you are subscribed on the website, you also get some of the premium stuff on YouTube. But as of right now, they are separate.
Correct.
Yes. And you're more directly in like supporting Justin and I. Like obviously supporting on the website is fantastic too. Like that's just revenue for the entire site and company. But you know, if you're the direct revenue,
we have numbers to hit. For us. We got numbers to hit here. Or keep our part-time jobs. Your full-time job.
Yeah. I don't know if you still have this up. Do you have breakaway rate still up? Flybladder wants to know who's.
I don't have them down. I was just going through player profile. I can find out what McKinnon's at though. Give me 3 seconds, but I'm not going to spot check. Just try to hit the other ones. Okay, it's loading. Crap, my internet sucks. No, McKinnon was 34th in breakaway. I can't say that word. Breakaway run rate.
I wonder if that's on because of his low volume. Like he just didn't have enough opportunity to really.
It's not counting receptions. It's just counting rushes. So it could be higher. That's the difference.
Utilization is different. He's not getting rush attempts that would enable him to really have breakaway rates.
Yep, exactly.
Spido, 1 quarterback league. Don't really want to pick at the 110. I don't blame you. Would like to trade for a player. What should I do? What players can I get for the 110 in a 1 quarterback league?
Hollywood Brown. I know Hollywood Brown is there. Probably Michael Pittman too.
Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin, J.K. Dobbins.
Dobbins for sure.
Jahan Dotson. I'm pushing the Dotson train.
I'll get on board with it.
2024 first. Just kind of hit reset.
You do like a first and like a third this year, like a 2020. I like doing that little. Give me a dart throw for fun, or just another trade piece.
Dallas Goedert, do you like that? If you're going for tight end,
yeah. If you need a tight end, I'd be fine with it. With this 110, especially in a 1 QB. Give me him over like Mayer or any of those guys, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Hopefully that gave you some options.
Hell yeah.
Woo. 1 quarterback, 202 and Rondale for Dotson. Dotson.
I think Rondale's going to get washed out in this draft. I'd be shocked if they don't leave with another wide receiver because I think Hopkins gets moved on draft day. Piece
Yeah.
it all. Yeah. There it is. Somebody
Joseph
told me
joined.
real quick. Thank you, Joseph.
Joseph.
My man. No, somebody told me they don't need to draft a wide receiver because they have Greg Dortch. And I was like, God, just don't. What are we doing, people?
I like Greg Dortch.
So do I, but they need an actual wide receiver too. Greg Dortch is not your wide. He's also like 28. Like he's not your wide receiver too. He's the oldest guy that feels like a rookie.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when he was coming out and he was like the analytical, like late round darling that everybody was like, it's kind of like what Khalil Shakir was this year. You know, just
also he's going to be 25, but in my mind, he's 28.
I was going to say he came out in like 2019 or something like that.
That's correct.
Joseph said he's already subbed the site. Makes sense. Love the content. We love you, Joseph.
We love you. Oh, look at that, man. There we go.
All right. This might be the last one. If D-Hop goes to Baltimore, what happens to Bateman, considering that OBJ is also there now, too? I still buy into Bateman as the talent and the dynasty asset because he's young enough. And, you know, he could go somewhere else in free agency.
I'd buy Bateman.
Yeah.
I still think he's talented. Like the reception perception, like what he does as a player, the film tells us he's good. Like I like to believe he's good. He is now like, it's crazy. The turnaround from where he's dropped in Dynasty, mainly because he got hurt. He was being drafted as a top 20 wide receiver last year, ahead of Devonta Smith. Like that was, I mentioned that in my video like 100 times last year. Smith was like in the 30s.
Yeah.
Bateman's now in the 30s. Nothing has changed with Rashad Bateman as a player. This situation just changed. Right. I'm kind of viewing it the same way.
Yeah, he says that he loves Bateman, just seems like Baltimore doesn't. And I think that could be true.
Yeah.
Which I think that's where, like, if you just buy into the player and the talent, situation can change. Either Baltimore could trade him. He could be one of those guys who on their, you know, on his third or fourth year deal of his rookie contract gets moved later on. He could leave in free agency, do like a Juju or something like that, you know, and just trying to find a better opportunity somewhere else. Or like Christian Kirk, you know, like Christian Kirk was somewhat dead in Arizona, moves over to Jacksonville. Now all of a sudden he's, you know, had just a borderline wide receiver one season last year.
Crazy. It made me angry because I ignored my own rule. I like Christian Kirk and I just gave up a year too soon. I was like an idiot.
Well, now don't do that with Rashad Bateman. So then you can just buy into the talent of Rashad Bateman, especially if they do add another wide receiver. Like I'd just be buying him super cheap and just treating him as like a stash, you know, just like a player that is like my wide receiver 5 or 6 that I'm just kind of like, I'm just holding on to him, just see what happens, you know?
People always say like post-hype sleepers aren't real. He is the epitome of a post-hype sleeper. But like I wasn't in last year. The price didn't make sense. Why he's getting drafted, I think almost as a wide receiver 4 now or something.
Right.
The price makes a ton of sense for Rashad Bateman.
Yeah. Since we're on Bateman real quick, this is the last one. Give Najee Wandale in a third for Bateman, the 201 and Howell in a Superflex league.
Najee Wandale third.
I'll take Najee.
Yeah. I still like Wandale. I think there's enough. Wandale's got something left coming off that ACL, and even with competition coming in, they've done nothing else to address the wide receiver there. I'm still Najee Wandale.
Yep, that's the side I'm taking as well.
Sweet.
Cool. And it is 8:30 Eastern time, 7:30 for you.
I gotta run.
Thank you guys so much for hopping in here, commenting, subscribing, joining the YouTube memberships and supporting us as well. Joseph, my man. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said at the beginning of the show, and if you guys like, for the new people who joined after that, we're gonna do another stream next week, Wednesday night, doing rookie mock drafts. So if you want to draft with us, get into some rookie mocks, get into the stream. We're going to do 3 at least, maybe 4. I don't know. We could get crazy. Just see where the night kind of takes us, you know, with some rookie drafts. And then I think we have another stream planned next Friday for round 1 reactions, kind of like a lunchtime Friday afternoon kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
Not tomorrow, next Friday, after the first round of the NFL draft. So that's all going to pop up onto the channel and stuff too. So thank you guys for joining in. All that good stuff. Catch y'all later.
See you.